This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. You don't plan to watch videos for hours. It just happens. You click one video, then another, and before you realize it, time is gone. This isn't an accident. It's the result of psychology, technology, and systems designed to capture attention. Attention is one of the brain's most valuable and perhaps most misunderstood resources. It's the silent conductor of our conscious experience, the gatekeeper to our awareness. Think of it as a spotlight in the vast, dark theater of your mind. Everything outside the beam exists, but it's the spotlight that determines what you actually see, what you process, and what becomes part of your reality. This cognitive function is the very foundation of how we perceive the world. It determines what we notice, remember, and ultimately what we care about. This process of selection is constant and mostly unconscious. Right now, you are focusing on the sound of my voice and the images on your screen. But you're also likely filtering out the feeling of the chair beneath you, the ambient temperature of the room, or the low hum of a distant appliance. Your brain has made an executive decision that this information is more important than that. This is the essence of selective attention, the ability to select from many factors or stimuli and focus on only the one that you want while filtering out other distractions. A classic illustration of this is the cocktail party effect. Imagine you're in a crowded room, filled with dozens of overlapping conversations. You can, with surprising clarity, tune into a single conversation, following its thread, while the rest of the noise fades into an indistinct murmur. Yet, if someone across the room were to mention your name, your attentional spotlight would instantly pivot. This demonstrates that your brain is still monitoring the unattended information at a low level, waiting for a trigger it deems personally relevant. It's a remarkable feat of neural filtering, a constant process of prioritization that allows us to navigate a world saturated with information. Beyond simply selecting what to focus on, there's also sustained attention, or vigilance. This is our ability to maintain that focus over a prolonged period. Think of a long-distance driver watching the road for hours, a programmer debugging lines of code, or a reader lost in a novel. Sustained attention is what allows for deep work, learning, and mastery. It requires effort and is more mentally taxing than the fleeting, reactive shifts of selective attention. It's a state of deep engagement where the outside world seems to melt away, a state often referred to as flow. But here we arrive at the critical constraint. Attention is limited. It is not an infinite wellspring we can draw from at will. Psychologists often describe it as a finite cognitive budget. Every single thing you choose to focus on, from a complex work problem to a trivial social media notification, spends a portion of this budget. And once it's spent, it needs time to replenish. This limitation is not a personal failing. It's a fundamental aspect of our neurobiology. Our brains evolved in an environment where threats and opportunities were physical and immediate, not a constant digital stream of abstract information. This is where the modern world presents an unprecedented challenge. We now live in an attention economy. And in this economy, our focus is the currency. Every app, every website, every platform is engineered to capture and hold it. They are not merely offering content, they are in a relentless zero-sum competition for our finite cognitive resources. The business model of many of the world's largest companies depends directly on their ability to monopolize your time and your focus. These modern platforms compete aggressively to capture as much of it as possible. They do this by understanding and exploiting the very mechanisms of our attention. They know that our brains are wired to respond to novelty, social validation, and unpredictability. They understand the limits of our sustained attention and design experiences that require only fleeting, reactive focus, making it easier to engage and harder to disengage. The result is a phenomenon known as attentional fragmentation. Instead of long periods of sustained focus, our attention is broken into tiny, confetti-like pieces, scattered across dozens of different inputs throughout the day. This constant switching comes at a cost. Neurologically, every time we shift our focus from one task to another, say, from a work document to a new email, there is a cognitive cost. It takes time and mental energy for our brain to disengage from the first task and fully load the context of the second. This attention residue, as described by researcher Sophie Leroy, means that even after you've switched to the new task, a part of your mind is still thinking about the old one. The consequence is that your performance on the new task is diminished. When we do this hundreds of times a day, the cumulative effect is a significant reduction in our overall cognitive performance and a pervasive feeling of being busy but unproductive. Understanding the nature of attention, its power, its different forms, and its inherent limits is the first and most crucial step toward reclaiming it. It's about recognizing that our focus is not just a tool for productivity, but the very lens through which we experience our lives. The quality of our attention dictates the quality of our work, our relationships, and our inner peace. In a world designed to distract, the ability to control your own spotlight, to choose what you focus on and for how long, has become a defining skill. It is the power to decide what gets to occupy the precious real estate of your mind. To truly understand why hours can feel like minutes online, we need to look deeper into the very chemistry of our brains. At the heart of this phenomenon is a powerful neurotransmitter, dopamine. Often misunderstood as the pleasure molecule, dopamine's role is far more nuanced. It's less about the feeling of pleasure itself and more about motivation, anticipation, and the drive to seek out potential rewards. Think of it as the engine of our curiosity, the chemical that propels us to explore, learn, and engage with our environment. This system is an ancient evolutionary inheritance. For our ancestors, the drive to seek was a matter of survival. It pushed them to find new food sources, discover safer territories, and learn crucial information about their world. The brain rewarded this exploratory behavior with a small release of dopamine, reinforcing the action and encouraging them to do it again. This fundamental seeking mechanism is hardwired into our neural circuitry, specifically within what's known as the mesolimbic pathway, or the brain's reward system. When we encounter something that our brain flags as potentially valuable or interesting, a cluster of neurons in the ventral tegmental area, or VTA, springs into action. It sends a surge of dopamine to other regions, most notably the nucleus accumbens, which is central to motivation and reward. This process effectively tells your brain, "Pay attention, this is important. Remember what you did to find this." So, what does this ancient survival circuit have to do with watching videos online? Everything. The modern digital world has become a supercharged environment for triggering this seeking system. The most potent trigger of all is novelty. Our brains are fundamentally novelty-seeking machines. Each new image, fresh piece of information, or unexpected sound is treated as a potential reward. When you scroll through a feed or browse a video platform, you are bombarding your brain with a constant stream of novelty. Every thumbnail, every headline, every short clip is a new stimulus that your brain must evaluate. Each one that piques your interest, even for a fraction of a second, can trigger a microdose of dopamine. It's not a massive rush, but a steady, alluring drip that keeps you engaged and wanting more. This mechanism is powerfully amplified by a psychological principle known as a variable reward schedule. To understand this, consider the difference between a vending machine and a slot machine. A vending machine operates on a fixed reward schedule. You put in your money, you press a button, and you get your snack. It's predictable and reliable. After a few times, the novelty wears off. A slot machine, however, operates on a variable reward schedule. You pull the lever, but you don't know if you'll win or how much. The reward is unpredictable. This uncertainty is what makes it so compelling. Neuroscientifically, dopamine levels surge most not when we receive a reward, but in anticipation of it, especially when the outcome is uncertain. The possibility that the pull of the lever could be the jackpot keeps the player hooked. Video platforms are the digital equivalent of a slot machine. Every recommended video is a pull of the lever. You don't know if the next video will be the most fascinating thing you've seen all week, or just mildly interesting, or a complete waste of time. It's this variability that maximizes the dopamine response and strengthens the compulsion to keep clicking. The platform doesn't need every video to be a masterpiece. It just needs to provide enough occasional gems to make the search feel worthwhile. This creates a powerful feedback loop. A cue, like a notification or an interesting thumbnail, creates anticipation. This triggers a dopamine release which drives the action of clicking. The video itself is the variable reward. If it's good, it reinforces the entire loop, making you more likely to respond to the next cue. Even if the video is mediocre, the memory of past great videos and the possibility that the next one will be great is enough to keep the seeking behavior going. Long-form videos in particular have become masters of manipulating this loop, not just between videos, but within a single viewing session. A well-structured long video is not a monolithic block of content. It's a carefully orchestrated series of novelties. The creators and the platforms they use have become exceptionally skilled at continuously introducing variation. This isn't just about the core topic. It's about changing the visuals on screen, from the speaker to a graph to a piece of B-roll footage. It's about modulating the pace, moving from a fast-paced montage to a slow, deliberate explanation. It's about shifting the auditory landscape, introducing sound effects, changing the background music, or using strategic silence. Each of these shifts is a small novel event, a mini stimulus that recaptures our attention just as it begins to wane. It's a constant, gentle nudging of the dopamine system, a sustained release that keeps the brain from disengaging. The video essentially promises a continuous stream of low-stakes, variable rewards, just enough to keep our ancient seeking system satisfied and locked in place. This is the neurochemical foundation of the digital rabbit hole, a system designed for survival, now expertly co-opted to hold our attention. Short videos grab attention quickly, but long videos keep it. Long-form content creates immersion. It gives the brain time to settle, focus, and stay. This is why podcasts, documentaries, and long explainers continue to grow. In the vast digital landscape of content platforms, a powerful, unseen force shapes what we see, what we click, and ultimately, how we spend our time. This force isn't a human curator with an eye for artistic merit or groundbreaking originality. It's an algorithm, a complex system of rules and calculations designed for a single, overarching purpose: to capture and hold our attention for as long as possible. While we might assume that the most creative, innovative, or beautifully crafted content would naturally rise to the top, the reality is far more pragmatic. Algorithms don't inherently reward creativity. They reward watch time. To understand this, we must look at the fundamental business model of these platforms. They are, for the most part, free to use. The revenue that sustains them, pays their creators, and fuels their growth comes primarily from advertising. And in the world of digital advertising, attention is the currency. The more minutes and hours users spend on a platform, the more advertisements they can be shown. Therefore, the algorithm's prime directive is to maximize user engagement, measured through a series of key performance indicators. The most crucial of these is watch time, the total amount of time a viewer spends consuming a piece of content. But watch time is just one piece of a larger puzzle. The algorithm also scrutinizes session length. This metric tracks the total time a user spends on the platform in a single visit, from the moment they open the app or website until they close it. A video that not only holds a viewer's attention, but also successfully encourages them to watch another video immediately after is considered highly valuable. It contributes to a longer session, which means more opportunities for ad exposure and a stronger signal to the algorithm that the user is satisfied. This creates a powerful incentive for platforms to promote content that keeps people watching longer, not just within a single video, but across their entire platform experience. Because in this economy, attention directly equals revenue. To achieve this, the algorithm delves deeper into our viewing habits, analyzing a metric known as audience retention. This is represented by a curve, a graph that shows what percentage of viewers are still watching at any given point in a video. A video with a high, flat retention curve is the gold standard. It means most people who started watching continued all the way to the end. The algorithm studies these curves with immense precision. It learns to identify the common characteristics of high-retention content. Does the video have a fast-paced introduction? Does it use a pattern interrupt every 30 seconds? Does it pose a question at the beginning that it only answers at the very end? These patterns, once identified, become the new blueprint for success. The algorithm then seeks out and promotes other videos that share these structural similarities, creating a powerful feedback loop. Over time, creators who rely on the platform for their livelihood begin to notice these trends. They see which of their videos are promoted and which are left to languish. They study their own analytics, poring over their retention graphs to see where viewers dropped off and where they were most engaged. The conclusion is inescapable. To succeed, one must please the algorithm. This leads to a gradual but significant shift in creative strategy. Instead of starting with a unique idea and letting it find its natural form, many creators begin to reverse engineer their content. They adapt to what works, shaping their videos around the principles of retention. The art of storytelling becomes the science of engagement optimization. Introductions become shorter and more dramatic, designed to survive the crucial first 15 seconds where a viewer decides whether to stay or click away. The middle of the video is filled with quick cuts, sound effects, and visual gags, anything to prevent a dip in the retention curve. Endings are crafted not to provide a satisfying conclusion, but to seamlessly transition the viewer into the next recommended video, keeping the session alive. The result is a landscape where content formats can become homogenized. Trends propagate with incredible speed, not necessarily because they are creatively superior, but because they are algorithmically effective. A certain style of editing, a specific thumbnail design, or a particular way of structuring a narrative can dominate the platform for months as creators flock to the proven formula. This isn't a criticism of the creators themselves. It's a rational response to the environment they operate in. They are adapting to survive and thrive in a system that quantifies success in minutes and seconds. The subtle, slow-burn narrative or the experimental art piece, while potentially more creative, poses a higher risk. It might not generate the immediate engagement signals the algorithm is trained to look for, and as a result, it may never find its audience, buried beneath a mountain of content perfectly optimized for the machine. The algorithm, in its relentless pursuit of our time, inadvertently becomes the ultimate arbiter of taste, shaping not just what we watch, but how it's made.